Joe Biden's poll numbers amongst Democrats even have started to really sag pretty badly. And, Joe Biden is a guy who really can't afford any more sagging than is typical for a man of his age. And so there's a Pew Research poll that came out at the end of January, which I'm going to share onto the screen in just a second as soon as I find my Zoom screen. There we are. We'll put this up right now. Biden starts year two with diminished public support and a daunting list of challenges. Now, all these segments that we're going to do tonight kind of blend into each other. This is basically one big segment that we're going to do here. But I thought this was actually a good place to start. Because as you can see here, Joe Biden's job rating declines, public less confident in his handling of COVID-19. So as you can see there, just an overall approval rating of 41%, which especially for a Pew poll, which tends to skew left, is not good. That's actually quite awful. And then here, as you can see below there, the percentage of people who say they are either somewhat or very confident Joe Biden can handle the public health impact of the coronavirus outbreak. His somewhat confident numbers have remained steady at 30%, thereabouts. But the number of people who are very confident in his ability has just gone steadily down and is now less than half of what it was last year at a dismal 15% of people expressing strong confidence that Joe Biden can handle the COVID outbreak. This is just a fascinating piece of political data in and of itself. This could be a whole nother show. Increasing shares in both parties want leaders to stand up to the opposition. This is really all you need to know about why the Democrats suck so badly. In January of 2021, 62% of Democrats wanted Biden to work with Republicans to accomplish things, even if it disappoints his voters. That number is down to only 50% of Democrats. So still half of Democrats are hanging on to this ridiculous idea that it is possible and desirable to work with Republicans to pass legislation. Look at the GOP. Look at the difference in killer instinct in both of these parties. January 2021, Biden comes into office. Only 38% of Republicans, wanted the Senate and House GOP to work with the Biden White House to get things done. And now only 26% do. But look at how dug in. Look at what fighters they are compared to Democrats. That's just fascinating right there. I mean, it just shows you like the influence of the West Wing. Right?
That's I was just going to say there will never be a Republican-oriented version of the West Wing.
Right. Yeah.
Like that would never happen. There will never be a Republican Aaron Sorkin.
No. Who would be the closest thing to a Republican Aaron Sorkin? I guess David Mamet with the fast-paced dialogue and shit like that. He's the Republican Aaron Sorkin.
There's no such animal.
No, I mean, no,
with that, like a conservative vision. I mean, it's a contradiction in terms.
Right.
I mean, the West Wing is the modern Democratic Party's idealized vision of politics. It's a politics empty of content and heavy on style.
Right. Exactly. And here's the last piece of data we'll get to before we get back into our full screen here, where you could see Russell and I a little bit more up close, the way you like us. Fewer than half of Democrats strongly approve of Biden's job performance. That's a big red flag there, obviously. So way down at the bottom here is where you can see that. I don't know if you could see my cursor, by the way, but here, I'll point it to it just in case. The bottom set of numbers here, Democrat or lean Democratic voters, only 37% of Democrats with a strongly favorable view of Joe Biden. And as you can see here, his unfavorables among Democrats and lean Democratic voters are quite high, 40% when you add those up, right? 29, 11. No. I'm sorry. That's wrong. I'll fact check myself just as Rogan does. That 29 is a total unfavorable. So it's 68-29. So his favorability among Democrats, 68, unfavorable 29 total. That's still lousy. Not quite as lousy as what I was as what I thought it was when I first looked at it, but that's still pretty lousy. So basically, a 68% approval rating within his own party. That's absolutely awful. That's absolutely dreadful.
I've never seen that actually. I like Bill Clinton at the height of his perversion. I don't think was polling like that among Democrats.
No, because Bill Clinton, even at the height of that Lewinsky thing, had what Obama had, what Trump had, what Biden doesn't have, which is a base of people who just loved him,
Right.
and
Yeah.
they loved him even more when he was going through that. They felt terrible that he was being embarrassed the way he was, is the way they put it. Why are you wasting his time with this? Why are you distracting him? It's none of our business. Let the man do his job. Blah blah blah. They got very indignant about it. They actually warmed to him during that whole period. Whereas, just Biden, as we've said a million times, just does not have anywhere near that level of diehard committed support that's going to be there for him
But I
on the
think
crisis.
this is part of the irony of the Joe Biden presidency. For one thing, here's a guy who really, he's got a little Richard Nixon in him. The poor kid who made it in politics, who never got taken seriously, and they all laughed at him. But I'll show him. I'm gonna be the president. And now he is, and wow, does it suck, right? It's not what he thought it was going to be. Like, yeah, I keep thinking of a Vulcan proverb: "Having is often not as pleasing as wanting." Illogical, but often true. Like, you got to wonder if he wishes he had just sucked up the Chinese money with Hunter and just like not done any of this because it's all going so horribly wrong. I will say something I never thought I would say. I'm starting to feel a little sorry for him though, because in some respects, when you look at that lack of support from Democrats, it's partly for the same reason that they were talked into voting for him by the mainstream media. They were basically told somebody that you like can't win. So you have to vote for this guy who's not really one of you and that you don't really like, that doesn't have the cultural signaling that makes you go all gaga, that doesn't really give you a lot of opportunity to virtue signal off your vote because he doesn't check any identity boxes. Like, he's basically giving you none of the things that you value, really. He's not a woman, he's not trans, he's not a person of color, he's not any of these things that could make you like, put a sign in your window with a multicolored flag. Like, he's not giving you any of that. But he can beat Trump. And really the unspoken part was something that I think is blowing up on them now. The unspoken part was, this country is full of horrible people who will never vote for one of those people who really should be president. So this is the best we can do. So you can't get Pete Buttigieg. You're going to have to settle for Joe Biden. You can't get Elizabeth Warren. You have to settle for Joe Biden. You can't get Bernie Sanders. You have to settle for Joe Biden. And when that's what you're going into it with, and when you can't get fucking cat food in the store because we're Venezuelan now, like, you didn't have anything to support you. If this had happened to Obama, his approval rating among Democrats would still be 98%.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Right.
But
Right.
it's happening to somebody that is not one of their people. Like, they never liked him. They convinced themselves for a minute, with the inaugural, oh, Biden's arms are reaching out to the country, but their heart really wasn't in it. Not really. Like, I didn't see a lot of people who could wholeheartedly say, even all the liberals I knew, with very few exceptions, would like support Biden with a lot of qualifiers. They'd always lead off with, look, he wasn't my first choice or even my second choice or even maybe my fifth choice, but let the man do the job and don't prejudge him and all that shit. And that's not a strong hand to play. And now you're seeing it, and Americans are seeing things that they've never seen before. and it's under the watch of somebody that they didn't really support in the first place. And that's where you're getting those numbers, exploding inflation, exploding gas prices.
And exploding COVID,
Exploding COVID. He didn't even
COVID.
do the thing they elected him to do. And to be fair, that probably wasn't doable. And maybe they should have been more honest about that from the beginning. Look,
If they were, they wouldn't have won. The only reason they won is because
I mean this. I mean the general health community should have been more honest. Like, hey, do you think you can contain the common cold? Well, you can't contain this either. Not really. Not over the long term. They probably should have just told people that. Yes, we can create vaccines that will make it very unlikely that you'll die. We can create treatments that will make fatality almost non-existent. But can you eliminate the common cold, which is essentially the family this is in? No. Well, you can't eliminate this either. Like, they should have, that the World Health Community built up people's expectations too high for what could really be accomplished, I think.
Thank you, everybody, for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe wherever you saw it, on YouTube, on Rumble, or on Facebook. We have channels on all 3 of those platforms. Also, consider helping us create more content by becoming a member at patreon.com/do-dissidents, or on Facebook, where you can become a supporter right through our Facebook page and get bonus content every week, as well as call-in access to our live stream shows. Thank you very much for your continued support.